morning, dear students. Welcome back once again. How are you all, students? I hope you all are in good health and taking all the necessary precautions for your health. Eat healthy food regularly. Drink boiled water twice in a day. Wash your hands regularly. Take care of your health and take care of your family members also. Stay home and stay safe, students. Okay, students, so let's start our today's session. Today I would like to explain a new lesson, and that is lesson number 3 of history, and the name of the lesson is Rural Life and Society. In this lesson, we are going to learn about the effects of the company's agrarian policies. Agrarian means agricultural policies on peasants and landlords. And we are going to find out why commercial crops disturbed peasants' life and how it affected and how it resulted into the revolts. Okay. So let's start our today's session. Before that, we will see the introduction part of this lesson. Students, as we already aware that we are well-known fact that it is a well-known fact that India is primarily an agricultural country, right? The overwhelming majority of its people depend on agriculture for sustenance. Sustenance means for nourishment. Okay, so the maximum people they depend on agriculture. If the crop is good, prosperity prevails. If the crop is good, and the flourishing it will be superior, right? Otherwise it leads to famine. It means shortage of food and starvation. Till the 18th century there was a strong relation between agriculture and cottage industry, it means the manufacturing industry in India. India was not only ahead in the field of agriculture than most other countries, but it also held a prominent place in the world in the field of handicraft production. So before the Britishers arrived in India, before the Britishers came in India, India was one of the richest country, and it was ahead in the field of agriculture, as well as it held a prominent place in the world in the field of handicraft production. Okay, but with the coming of the British, this handicraft industry was destroyed, and this resulted in far-reaching changes in the country's agrarian structure. So it affected the country's agriculture system, its agriculture structure, and the Britishers introduces here new systems of what they introduces the new systems of land tenures and policies of revenue administration. What is land tenure, student? It means it refers to the way in which land is held by an individual from the government. India's national income, foreign trade, industrial expansion, and almost every other dominion of economic activity is dependent on the country's agriculture. But the company's policies revolved around getting maximum income from the land, which were counterproductive to the interest of the cultivator. What is the meaning of the word counterproductive? Counterproductive, it here means having an effect which is opposite to the one that is intended or wanted. Here company were continuously putting pressure on the peasants to get maximum income from the land, and it was opposite, it was against the interest of the peasant, it was against the interest of the cultivators, right? So the cultivation policies of the company in their pursuit to fill their coffer, it means the strong box, made the farmers abandon the age-old system of revenue administration and instead adopt a ruthless policy of revenue collection. It means the company which demands that the cultivators should behave according to the company's will, the cultivators should get maximum income from the land. It was against the interest of the cultivators, and which forces the farmers to leave their old system of revenue administration and adopt a ruthless policy of this revenue collection. Now we will understand the next important key elements of this lesson, that is system of revenue collection. Yes, already in the previous chapter we learned that the East India Company granted Diwani of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa in 1765, yes, by the Treaty of Allahabad. So the major concern of the company, by this Treaty of Allahabad, the Britishers got the Diwani of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Okay. And the major concern of the company's administration in India was to collect as much revenue as possible. And gradually the company hold considerable influence and they acquired more areas from where revenue could be collected. Agriculture was the basis of the economy and the main source of income, right, student? So the companies principally adopted three types of revenue collection. These three types are zamindari system or permanent system. Second one, that is mahalwari settlement, and the third one, that is rotwari system. Okay. First one, that is zamindari system. Roughly 19% of the total area under the company rule, which covered Bengal, Bihar, Banaras, and the divisions of the northern western provinces and northern Karnataka, were brought under this zamindari system or the permanent system. The second revenue system collect the mahalwari settlement. It was introduced in about 30% of the area under the company's area, which covered major parts of the northwestern provinces, central provinces, and the Punjab with some variation. And the third one, that is Rotwari settlement. It covered about 51% of the area and comprises parts of the Bombay and Madras presidencies, Assam, and certain other parts of British India. About all this system, these are the Mahalwari system, Zamindari system, and the Rotwari system. We will learn in detail one by one. And this, although native officials were in charge of the collections, it was the company's officials who supervised the process of collection. Okay, the company's official, they were supervising the process of collection. And the British also realized that, slowly and gradually British realized that the countryside could not only yield revenue, it could not only produce revenue, but it could also grow crops that Europe required. And towards the end of the 18th century, the company was trying its best to expand the cultivation of afim. Opium means the afim, and indigo. Indigo, it means blue dye. Okay, in the century and a half that followed, the British persuaded or forced cultivators in various parts of India to produce other crops like jute in Bengal, tea in Assam, sugarcane in Uttar Pradesh, wheat in Punjab, and cotton in Maharashtra and Punjab, and rice in Madras. So the Britishers started forcing the cultivators to in various parts of India to cultivate like these crops. Okay. Now we will understand the settlement. These are the three important settlements which were introduced by the Britishers. First one, that is permanent settlement. This settlement is also called as Zamindari settlement. Lord Cornwallis, he was the most conspicuous administrator. Okay, his measures was the permanent land revenue settlement of Bengal, which was extended to the provinces of Bihar and Orissa. Cornwallis, at that time, he was appointed as the Governor General, and he was instructed by the board of directors of the company to find a satisfactory and permanent solution for collecting land revenue in order to protect the interest of both the company and the cultivators. So Cornwallis, he made thorough inquiry into the uses, tenures, and rents prevalent in Bengal, and it took him about 3 years to find solutions. So how many years he took for the thorough inquiry? He had taken 3 years to find the solution for this, and he find out the solution. And what was it? The answer he got, that the answer was to abolish, means put an end, the annual lease system, that is the contract system, and he introduced the decennial, means 10-year settlement, which was subsequently declared to be continuous. So there was an agreement between the landlords, or we can call it as zamindars, and company to fix the land revenue. That is the permanent settlement. It called as permanent settlement. Here the land revenue was fixed. Okay, we will understand the main features of the permanent settlement. What is this permanent settlement? Actually, we will understand this. Yes, the main features of the permanent settlement. The zamindars of the Bengal were recognized as the owner of the land as long as they paid the revenue to the East India Company regularly. The amount of revenue that the zamindars had to pay to the company, it was firmly fixed. Okay, and it would not be raised under any circumstances. And the roads, it means the farmer or peasants. The roads become tenants since they were considered the tillers of the soil. Tillers, it means the root or they are more connected to the soil. So they become the roads become tenants since they were considered the tillers of the soil. And this settlement took away the administrative and judicial functions of the zamindar. Here the zamindar, they became we can say they became the link between the government and the peasants. They have to collect the revenue, and the revenue, it was fixed in the permanent settlement. Okay, now we will see the effects of the permanent settlement. Cultivable area, it increased as many wastelands was brought under cultivation. If the peasant failed to pay the revenue, the lands were taken away, and so it created landless peasants. Third, that is, it created a new class of loyalists for the British in the zamindar. It created a new group of zamindars, those who were supporting to the Britishers, those who were loyal to the Britishers. Okay, and the Britishers also needed their support, but this system benefited the zamindars more than the British because suitable land increased, but the rent they had to pay, it was remained fixed. Next, that is, this system affected some zamindars who could not make the payment, and when they failed to pay, their property, it was seized, it was captured and sold, and this led to their ruin. Okay, and ruin means destroy. Okay, now the next point, that most of the rich zamindars, they often left the rent collection to agents as they were settled in towns, and these agents exacted all kinds of illegal taxes besides the legal ones from the roads, and this resulted in a great deal of misery among the peasants and the farmers. Next point of this, that during the Mughal period, a share of the crop, it was fixed, and the land tax during the Mughal period, a share of the crop was fixed as land tax, but the cultivator enjoyed independence and they were self-sufficient, right? But through this system, through this permanent settlement, the cultivator lost their independence and self-sufficiency. Nevertheless, this system proved to be a great boon to the zamindars and to the government of Bengal, because it formed a regular income and stabilized the government of the company. The zamindars prospered at the cost of the welfare of the tenants. So here we understand the effects of the permanent settlement. In the permanent settlement, the revenue collection, it was fixed, and zamindar, they were the link between the peasants and the government. They had to collect the revenue, and here there was a separate group of zamindars, it was created, and the group, those who were supporting to the Britishers, there was a separate group of the zamindars, those who were supporting, and the other group, those who were in loss. Okay, because this system, some zamindars who could not make the payment and they failed to pay, their property, it was seized and sold. Okay, so here we understand the permanent settlement. Now the second one, that is Rotwari settlement. The Rotwari settlement, it was introduced mainly in Madras, Berar, Bombay and Assam, and Sir Thomas Munro, he introduced this system. Okay, the Rotwari system, it was introduced by Thomas Munro in the Madras Presidency. Under this settlement, the peasant was recognized as the proprietor. Proprietor, it means a person who has the legal right, okay, of the land. There was no intermediary like zamindar. There was no middleman like zamindar between the peasant and the government. Yes, already we learned that in the zamindari system, there were zamindars who were acting as the link between the government and the peasant. But in the rotwari system, who was the main here? Rot, it means the peasant or the farmer. He was the main person, and the he has to pay the revenue. Means there was no intermediary like zamindar between the peasants and the government. So long as revenue was paid on time, the peasant was not evicted from the land. Besides the land revenue, it was fixed for a period from 20 to 40 years at a time, and during this time the peasant, he was held personally responsible for direct payment of land revenue to the government. Here the roads or the peasant, he was personally responsible for the direct payment of land revenue to the government. And here there was no middleman, okay, between the government and the peasant. So directly peasant will pay the revenue tax, okay, to the government. However, in the end this system also failed, and under this settlement it was certainly not possible to collect revenue in the systematic manner, and the revenue officials indulged in harsh measures for non-payment or delayed payment. So they were also those who were not able to pay the revenue on time, and those who were delaying for the payment, they were getting the harsh punishment. Okay. So this system was also failed. Okay. Now next one, that is Mahalwari system. In 1833, the Mahalwari settlement, it was introduced in the Punjab, central provinces and parts of northwestern provinces. Under this system, the basic unit of revenue settlement was the village of the Mahal. Here see, Mahalwari settlement. Mahal, it means what? It's a group of village, or we can call it as a village community. So as the village lands belong jointly to the village community, right? So the responsibility of paying the revenue rested with the entire mahal or village community. So here the responsibility of paying the taxes or paying the revenue is on the entire mahal or the village community, means groups of villagers. Okay. So the entire land of the village was measured at the time of fixing the revenue. Though the Mahalwari system eliminated middlemen between the government and the village community and brought about improvement in irrigation facility. Okay, here also there were no middlemen. Like in zamindari process, there was a middleman. There was a link between the government and the peasant. Like zamindars were the middleman, but in this system also, Mahalwari system, there were no zamindar or no middleman. So in the Mahalwari system, directly village community had to pay the taxes, right? Though the Mahalwari system eliminated it, removed the middleman between the government and the village community and brought about improvement in irrigation facility, yet its benefit was largely enjoyed by the government. So here we understand the three settlements. These are permanent settlement or zamindari settlement. Here what we understand, here the revenue was fixed, okay, and the zamindars, they were the middlemen. They were the link between the peasants and the government. They are collecting the revenue taxes, okay, and this system, it was introduced by the Lord Cornwallis in the Bengal first and afterwards in the Bihar and Orissa. And Rotwari system, here roads, it means the peasant. They were the main source, they were the main person, right? They were paying taxes to the government directly, and they were responsible for the direct payment of land revenue to the government. And the third one, that is Mahalwari system. Here in the Mahalwari system, the groups of village or the village community were responsible for the revenue, for the paying of revenue taxes. Okay. All these manners of revenue collection almost uniformly affected the poor peasants. They remained perennially excluded from any control over land and power, and this caused grievances amongst the members of the rural society. The grievances of this class of society of North India very soon to be expressed rather loudly and violently in the subsequent revolt. Because of all this system, Rotwari system, permanent settlement and Mahalwari system, the peasant he suffered a lot and it resulted into the revolt. About all this we will learn in the next session. Today's session is all about it, student. I hope you all understand today's session very clearly. If you have any doubt related to this topic, kindly drop your mail on the given mail ID. Already I had provided you my school mail ID, that is 8bct@pratibhaintschool.org. Only whatever doubts you have related to SST, not for the other subject I am talking, only related to SST, your doubts you have to mail it on that given mail ID. And whatever assignments are there for the SST, your solved worksheets, you have to send it on that mail ID only, okay? And whatever doubts you have, it will be clarified on the Saturday. On every Saturday there will be doubt clearing session. Your doubts will be clarified on Saturday itself. I hope you all understand with today's session. Please note down assignment, student. What you have to do, today's assignment is you have to describe permanent settlement, Mahalwari settlement and Rotwari settlement in your own words in detail, okay? And write this settlement in write this assignment in the rough book or the pages, whatever that sheets you available at home, write it in that sheets only, okay? Don't write in the fair book until and unless we will not inform to you. Thank you and have a nice day, students.